All right, so skill 26 is demystifying word problems. You will have a bunch of word problems on the ACT, somewhere around 10, most likely. Some of them are going to be really wordy, and some of them will just be a little wordy and mostly math, but you're going to have words. So you have to sort of get your head around this and learn some techniques that work to make it so that word problems aren't stressful. Initially, for most students, they're a little more stressful, but they really don't have to be, okay? Um, so let's learn like some principal ideas that will help it make it so that word problems are more predictable. All right. So the first and most important thing is read sentence by sentence and phrase by phrase, right? You really have to break it down into one word at a time, one phrase at a time. Okay. The ACT does not give you extra information, right? Everything in the problem is relevant on the ACT. I think I've seen one question in the last 10 years where they had something kind of random. Okay. So forget about that. You need everything there. So basically, as you are going through the question, write down what you get from each part of the problem, each phrase, okay? Or at the most, you read a sentence, then you write something down. What did I get from that sentence? Okay. So by the end of the problem, you've turned the word problem into some math, and that's going to make it easier for your brain to comprehend it. All right. A second thing is something we talked about way back, which is underline what the question is asking for, right? It's really common with word problems to do all of the work correctly and then answer the wrong question, right? That's where it happens the most when this happens, all right? A problem about Adam and Bob could ask for either one. So if the question at the end says, what was Bob's price? Make sure you underline that and answer Bob's price. A lot of times what will happen is you'll have to solve for Adam first, and then they'll ask about Bob. And that makes it especially easy for you to answer Adam. And trust me, they will have the wrong answer for Adam, like the price that Adam was. That will be one of your answer choices every single time. They know that students do that. So third, don't panic. All right, you're gonna probably miss something at some point, and you have to go back and do it again, right? So the first step, if you get an answer that is not what you were expecting or doesn't match any of the answer choices, then look over the information you wrote down, right? Most likely you did something like you did an arithmetic thing wrong, or maybe you punched something wrong into your calculator, or maybe you didn't use something that you had written down and is in the word problem. All right. Check your algebra, right? I talked about that. Okay. It's so common to make little algebraic mistakes. And then you think what happens is, oh my goodness, I totally didn't understand the question, but that's not it. It's just a little mistake. So you do need to go through that. And then the last thing is just reread the problem slowly, right? It's really common to kind of miss a word. And then if you miss a word, maybe you confused one word, radius for diameter, or something similar, something simple like that. That totally can happen. So you want to check your algebra, you want to check everything you wrote down, and you want to reread the problem slowly to see, did I miss a word or did I confuse a word with something else? All right. So those are the three most important things. And I'm actually going to add one more right now, which is draw. Okay. Um, so whenever you can, if there's a picture that you can draw that goes along with the problem. So this is really common for a word problem that talks about geometrical figures but doesn't actually draw them. You should draw them. That's really, really important. If you can draw a triangle, if they describe some kind of triangular situation, you draw it and you label it. Draw, draw, draw. Your brain is much better at understanding pictures than it is at understanding words, especially if those words are trying to describe something visual. So the more visual you can get, the better. And those are four principal ideas for dealing with word problems.